Welcome back everyone. Today we have Ben Shapiro wannabe Shabbos getting humiliated and fact-checked by Katie Halper, proving that talking fast doesn't mean you know what you're talking about. This was more like a 3-on-1 debate. Katie demonstrating once again it's next to impossible to defend the actions of Israel. Let's take a look.
Israel consistently lies, and Israel's defenders consistently lie because they don't have the facts on the ground, and they certainly don't have the moral argument. And I think it's really rich for Shabbos to suggest that someone like Peter Beinart is perhaps an anti-Semite or a self-loathing Jew. And that's also a trick.
I did not say that at all.
Yes, you did. You said that you take them as what they say, and just because they're Jewish, you're not going to say they're not anti-Semitic or self-loathing.
And I specifically said I am not using Peter as an example. I'm saying in general, I'm not going to assume that because someone's Jewish identity deflects criticism. So don't say that I called him an anti-Semite. I literally didn't.
But you basically suggested that just because he's Jewish, he doesn't get a get out of jail free card, which is a fair enough argument. But the truth is that Jews like Peter Beinart are much less anti-Semitic than Jews who defend Israel, because when you are live streaming a genocide and saying that this is for the sake of Jewish people, you are putting all Jews at risk. I mean, let's table the fact that this is a very inhumane and unjust and immoral and illegal genocide. And that's not just me saying that, that's countless genocide experts, that's, Zionists who have been saying that. That's B'Tselem, the Israeli human rights organization, the Israeli Jewish human rights organization, B'Tselem, says it's a genocide. Physicians for Human Rights says it's a genocide. All of these Israeli organizations say it's a genocide. But what we have to remember is that there's also a trick. In fact, there was a minister of Israel who said that this is the trick we play. When we talk to people, we bring up the Holocaust and we bring up anti-Semitism. And we do that whenever someone criticizes Israel. And this woman, Shalomit Aloni, was a minister of education in Israel. And so what we're going to see throughout this panel, I assume and I predict from watching past panels, is we're going to see a lot of lying, a lot of obfuscation, and a lot of claims that people are anti-Semitic or picking on Israel unfairly, or self-loathing Jews. And you should just bear that in mind. And Shabbos, I just watched the panel with you and you lied through your teeth the entire time. You even said, fact check me on something. You said that Pierce asked you if the proportion of children killed was higher in Gaza than it was in other wars. And you said that it was as high in other wars. And you named the Syrian Civil War, Vietnam, and Korea. Unfortunately, the stats don't back you up, and the proportion of children killed in all of those wars was lower. I can go over the stats with you, but was lower than the proportion of children killed in Gaza. So we have an active genocide going on. It is actually illegal for the United States to support this genocide. It violates the Leahy Law. It violates the Foreign Assistance Act. It is a threat to every living person, basically. And of course, ironically, now I don't speak out because this has a dangerous effect on Jews. It does have a dangerous effect on Jews. I speak out because I believe that Palestinians are human beings with human rights. I also speak out because Israel doesn't get to speak for all Jews. But the irony is that for all the people like you who talk about Jewish safety, the irony is that you are making Jews less safe. Israel is making Jews less safe. AIPAC is making Jews less safe. The ADL is making Jews less safe. And you're engaging in the anti-Semitic trope of equating Jewishness with Zionism. Every time that you claim that all Jews have to be Zionists or that it's anti-Semitic to be anti-Zionist, you are leaning into that dual loyalty trope, which claims that all Jews are a monolith and we all support Israel. And again, when you're live streaming a genocide that the entire world sees, and you're saying that this is for the sake of Jews, I don't know how that's good for the Jews.
Katie was right on the money. We've recently seen the former Israeli PM calling it for what it is. We've seen genocide scholars unanimously agree that it is a genocide. Katie then goes on to say what we're going to see on this panel is a lot of lying and claims of anti-Semitism based on past debates, because let's face it, that's all the rubbish these Zionists blurt out when pressed on any matter. Katie then continues to say that it's because of ideologies of these panel members, the Israeli government, the actions of the IDF that's actually making Jews less safe around the world. We've already seen the huge support for the Palestinians around the world, especially and more so in the recent months. That's only going to grow as more and more people understand what's really going on. And when the leadership of the US changes, which it will at some point, so will the support for Israel.
Groups of a handful of soldiers, and you've got thousands of people coming at them, that puts them in danger, in a clear danger, and they're shooting warning shots, they're shooting at their legs. How many were killed by Israeli soldiers?
Maybe they should have more than 4 distribution sites. Maybe they should have more than 4 distribution sites. You don't think that's a trap?
It takes a while
for,
to set up a distribution
unsafety?
site. I don't know how easy it is for you sitting in the chair wherever you're sitting in the United States to set up a distribution site.
Well, then
but it's
maybe
not
they should have
easy to do.
used established distribution instead of an
They did. There was
organization
aid
that
continued.
has
Aid
no
has-
experience. And that why did the person resign before it started? Why did the guy who was supposed to be
You're
the head
just
of it
throwing out
resign?
questions that have absolutely nothing to do with the topic at hand. Israel has
No, it
continued
has everything to do with
aid
it.
into Gaza, not just through JHF, but through the UN and through other aid organizations since it reopened the aid in May. So there is multiple organizations distributing aid in Gaza. Hamas is stealing from the UN, is stealing from the other international aid groups, but not from GHF, which is why Hamas wants GHF dismantled.
No, 2 Israeli officials
Benjamin,
have admitted that there's no evidence of Hamas doing that, by the way. And 170
let me ask Benjamin.
NGOs and aid organizations have said the GHF needs to be dismantled. What's their ulterior
Yeah,
motive?
I think it's been a complete shambles. But Benjamin, do you believe that any Palestinian children are severely hungry?
It would appear to be the case, yes. I see the same image as you do, and it's heartbreaking. But we have to ask ourselves, who's at fault for that?
Israel.
Who? Oh, really? So if on October 6th, and I'm going back in history, I know there are going to be a lot of questions going on, but let me finish what I have to say. On October 6th, there was a ceasefire. There were no hungry children in Gaza because there was plenty of aid going into Gaza, much of which was being stolen by Hamas from the get-go. Hamas spent...
You guys said openly, the Israeli government said, we're putting the people of Gaza on a diet. You calculated the exact number of calories required to survive. That's not exactly letting in enough food or aid. That's called a siege.
Well, let me bring Peter in now. Let me get Peter to respond to this.
Gaza, 3,000 calories a day.
Let me ask Peter.
Enough.
Why did they say we're putting them on a
ask Peter
diet?
about this.
Okay, sorry, Peter, go, yeah.
Benyamin is talking straight out of his ass. We've recently seen Anthony Aguila say the Green Berets were sent over to Israel to support the IDF. The US soldiers were taking orders from IDF soldiers themselves, and it was recorded on video a soldier saying, "I think you got one." So we have the Green Berets and IDF soldiers loaded with guns at distance, using starving civilians as target practice. Let's remember that the soldiers are not commanded at the food sites. They are positioned away, so no one is getting at them. As Katie says, maybe they should have more than 4 sites. It's a death trap, and it's a game enjoyed by these animals. The UN at one point had over 400 sites. Anyway guys, this is a shambles. Katie was bang on the money, and well done to her. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Support me by liking and subscribing, and I'll see you all on the next video. Peace out.